Hi everybody, welcome to your second 50 years on the planet, and today's video we're going to discuss electrolytes. If you follow any social influencers or even some of the medical research science that's being put out right now, electrolytes right now are in, vogue. They're getting a lot of attention, but the electrolyte products that are out vary tremendously, and depending on you and your circumstances, if you take the right one, it can be very enhancing. If you take the wrong one, it can actually, be hurtful to you. Hi, everybody. I'm Judy Torel. I am a nationally board certified health coach. I am a programmer and a coach for health and vitality, weight loss, weight management, fitness, health management for health issues coach. And in addition to that, though, I am an Ironman athlete, and I am currently training for World Championships in Kona, where it is very hot and very humid, and I am on a mission to figure out my electrolyte replacement for that event. Now, I'm an athlete, but I'm also a 62-year-old post-menopausal female, and I coach a large number of clients, men and women both, who are over 50, 60, 70, and what are their needs for the electrolytes, as well as everyday athletes, as well as competing athletes like myself. Let me, give you some information so you can be a very, well-informed consumer while you're taking into consideration your personal circumstances. What are electrolytes? Electrolytes are minerals that our body needs. We ideally get it from food, but when you're doing certain things like endurance level athletics or sweating in high humid circumstances, you might not be that you're getting enough for what you're sweating out. There's 4 main electrolytes, sodium being one of them, potassium, magnesium, calcium, and actually there's 5, chloride, okay? Each one does something different in your body, and each one we need a certain level to be maintained. When you are sweating out large amounts of sweat, like I am going to be doing in Kona under hot, humid conditions in a post-menopausal body that is challenged for, heat regulation because of the hormonal changes that go with menopause, specifically the lack of estrogen, which help to, regulate core body temperature. So in other words, I sweat more than ever before. And when we sweat, we are losing not just water, but these electrolytes I just mentioned. And if you're putting in just water to replace them, then you are further diluting what you're losing. And, there's dangerous conditions that can happen for that. You can get heart arrhythmias. You can have severe muscle cramping. And even if you're not an endurance athlete, if you are not getting, the right balance of electrolytes from your food, then you can be taking in too much sodium in particular with these electrolytes, which we are all getting plenty of, by the way, in our everyday eating, most of us anyway, 99%, but we're not getting the right ratios and balance for the potassium, the magnesium, the calcium, and the chloride. If you take a electrolyte product that is high in sodium, you already have a lot of sodium in your body, but you're losing the other electrolytes that, again, can cause problems and not be helpful to you. So let's talk about everyday people, okay? The clients that I work with who are 50 plus, like I said, they are eating plenty of sodium. So the high sodium electrolyte products are not something that you probably need. What you need is going to be something that's like a moderate to lower level sodium, so under 500 milligrams per packet or a serving. And most of us are going to need, my everyday people. You're not looking for a product that's going to add in carbs or sugars for you, which many of them are because they were designed for sports like Gatorade and Gatorade Endurance. These products are bringing in more sugar because they were made for athletes, which I'm going to get to what we need as athletes in a second. But everyday people, you don't need the extra calories or the carbs. You don't need the extra sodium. You most likely need a product that's going to be low in the calories, lower in the sodium, but higher in the potassium and the magnesium. Because when those get sweat out, then if they get too low and you're not getting enough in your diet, then that can cause some electrical issues, so muscle cramping, nervous system issues, possible heart rhythm changes. So for you, Ultima, which is one product, okay, and they have several lines, so make sure you're looking at the right one, but they have a 0 to 5 calorie electrolyte replacement that is also lower in sodium, but higher in potassium and magnesium. And when I say higher in potassium and magnesium, the ones that are the highest, you're looking at about 500 milligrams of potassium and maybe about 200 milligrams of magnesium. We need on average 4,000 milligrams of potassium a day. So these are not high potassium. They're just higher than some of the other products that are put out for athletes that are higher in sodium. All right. So Ultimate is one. But again, there's so many brands out there right now. You want to know that you're looking for a lower calorie, 5 calories or lower per serving. You're not looking for the high sodium. You're getting plenty of that in your diet, most likely. You're looking for potassium in a 300 to 600 milligram range per serving, and magnesium in the 100 to 300 milligram per serving ratio. All right. That's going to be the better product for you. And especially if you're dealing with a health issue like high blood pressure, many people with high blood pressure are turning to electrolyte products that have high sodium, thinking that, that's what they need. But that's what an athlete would need, not your average everyday person playing pickleball for an hour or two, or who's out on the golf course, who's doing walking or walk jogging. You do need electrolyte replacement, especially if you're living in very hot, humid conditions. But you do not need so much of the high sodium or the high calories. All right. So there's your everyday people. Right now, there's a category of athlete more like myself. We are sweating high levels. We are doing longer than 1-2 hours at a time, possibly. We do need more sodium. But in addition to that, we need the higher potassium and the magnesium as well. All right. So there's a lot of sport products, in my opinion, and this is what I'm kind of dealing with right now as I'm trying to figure out my operating system for Kona. There's a lot of products that have high sodium, but don't match and have enough potassium and magnesium. And I'm having cramping and electrical system. I can feel tingling and almost like an electrical current through my legs, through my nerves, because high sodium, but not a match with the potassium and magnesium, can cause these issues. All right. So for somebody who's athletic like myself, I'm looking at a couple different products. So Source, which is a customized, or I guess a boutique brand, I'm going to say, right? The amounts in this has 600 milligrams of potassium and 450 milligrams of sodium. All right. So I'm experimenting with this. And this would be a product that I might recommend for somebody, again, who's looking for more of the higher potassium and less of the sodium. I am mixing that because that's not high enough in sodium for an athlete like myself who sweats so profusely and sweats out a lot of sodium. So I'm actually mixing that with other products. So Liquid IV, which is a product that is about 500 milligrams of sodium. If I mix this together with Source, it's going to get me the good level of sodium looking for, over 100 milligrams per serving, but with higher potassium. Another product that would have a higher sodium amount that I can mix more potassium with is going to be LMNT. Another product that is, that's 1,000 milligrams of sodium per serving. And you have to kind of do your own experimenting, but we've been looking for, as an athlete, you got to kind of know your body. The milligrams of sodium is important. Some of us are sweating out. Like what I'm looking at right now for Kona is getting sodium in at a rate of about 1,500 milligrams per hour. But matching the potassium to get like about 600 to 600 milligrams of potassium per hour and about 200 milligrams of magnesium. If you're an everyday athlete who's trying to, weight management and might be dealing with high blood pressure or other health conditions related to heart arrhythmias, you do not want the high sodium products. You're looking for ones that are like 500 or 300 milligrams of sodium per serving or lower, 300 to 600 milligrams of potassium and about 100 to 300 milligrams of magnesium. And if you're trying to watch your weight, you are looking for ones that are lower in calories. And so, for instance, Liquid IV has the electrolytes that I just talked about in the balance that you're looking for, but it has one product that is higher in calories that's more for a sport person who needs those added sugars. And then they had a sugar-free one, which is sweetened with stevia, which is about 5 calories per serving and is more for like what I would recommend for my average person who, is try to, take in the electrolytes they need during activity, but is also trying to weight management and maybe, monitoring certain health conditions, for instance, high blood pressure. Other products, just to give you a couple ideas, because I have a couple here. Salt of the earth. This is made from like Himalayan sea salt, which has chelated other minerals in that, so you're getting potassium, magnesium, and their argument is that their source of the salt is a higher quality. And, if you're looking for a balance of these other electrolytes, I would argue that it is. I have experimented with this one. It is a high sodium product, so not for the layperson, but for the athletes I'm working with. 1,000 milligrams of sodium per serving is going to get you that sodium in addition to the potassium, magnesium. Nuun or Nuun, depending on how you want to say it. This is going to go back to my everyday athletes. Their sport product. This is like a big giant Alka-Seltzer. It's like a pill that you put into your water bottle. It looks like this. And it dissolves. And then this is low calorie, 5 calories per serving, moderate in the sodium, moderate in the potassium and the magnesium. Might be good for my everyday athletes. I might recommend this too. Skratch is another product. This is not low calorie. This is going to give you some of the carb that you need for sustained activity. Moderate salt, moderate or low, but too low in the potassium and the magnesium. So it might be that someone might use this and then supplement with Source, which has the higher potassium and magnesium, but lower sodium. So it does get kind of complex, which is one of the reasons why it's really good to work with a coach and really good to work with a coach who is themselves an athlete. And if you're an older athlete, 50 or master's athlete, 50, 60, 70, and 80, like some of the clients I work with, including myself, I always recommend to my clients, however old you are, that's the age or older of the coach you should hire. And I'll tell you why I say that. Because at 62 years old, I've been doing this. I've been in the fitness industry and the nutrition and weight loss and now health management and lifestyle behavior change, programmer for 43 years. And when I was 30, I was certified and educated, and I was training people who were in their 60s, 70s, actually more 60s, not so much 70s back in that day. But, the things I did with them, not living in a 60-year-old body, 60-plus-year-old body myself, you don't know. You think you know, you can read the science, you can read the research, but until you are living it, if you are an athlete who's coaching endurance athletes and you're not an endurance athlete, you don't have the insights. If you're coaching people or doing nutritional, programming for people who are 60, 70, and you are not that age yourself, you can know the science, but you don't have, you want to couple that with the experience of living under the same, age category body. Because, again, from my own insight, because now I am in my 60s and I am now a much better coach and programmer for people who are 60s, 70s than I was when I was 30, because I have my own personal experience to go with the science. So there's my little extra added, thing for you to look for when you are searching for somebody to work with, for coaching, for health conditions, for nutrition, for fitness, for anything, honestly. All right. So thank you for staying with me here to the end, everybody. If you've gotten benefit or like some insights, or you feel like we might make a good team, you want to check out my yoursecond50.life community of coaching. It's a subscription. Go online, check it out. I have several tiers. I have a growing community of just keeping, people who are in the community subscribing up to speed on the things that are necessary for health and vitality as we go through our second 50 from somebody who's living it themselves and has 40 some odd years of coaching experience as well. Right? I hope to see you on that platform, everybody. Stay strong, stay vital, stay healthy.